What is up, seventh grade? Mr. Resch here with your weekly ELA mini lesson. This one is for the final chapters of White Fang, and this week we are dealing with the topic of theme. All right, so today I'm going to give you about, 10-minute kind of overview of what theme is. For some of you, this is old hat, meaning you've heard it a million times. For some of you, it's a refresher. So wherever you're at, it's cool. But today we are going to jump into this idea of theme. So let's go. All right. If I can just move myself. I don't know if I can. Let me try this. All right. That's better. All right. The reader's job, as part of your job as the reader, is to understand what the writer is trying to say. Writers seldom, meaning rarely, come right out and tell you, "Hey, reader, this is what I want you to know." All right, you need to make inferences. You need to draw conclusions about what the writer is trying to express. Just to sum up this slide, we never see that in stories. Writers never tell you what the story is actually about. It's through the characters that we learn what the conflict is, what the plot of the story is, and then what the overall theme of the story is. Today's objectives, all right, what we want you to know, or what I would like you to know, is how to identify the author's purpose and perspective in a text. We are familiar with the story elements of setting, characters, plot, conflict, climax, and resolutions. We are able to make connections. What we're going to learn is how to identify the theme or the moral or the message of the story. What we will do, today's objective is hot. You will participate in an interactive PowerPoint. And I'm going to throw some stories out there, and you're going to see if you can actually figure out the theme, stories that you know you're already familiar with. So without further ado, here we go. What is theme? Theme is the life lesson, meaning, moral, or message about life or human nature that is communicated through a literary work. This is often found in nonfiction as well as fiction. In other words, theme is what the story teaches the readers. We can find lessons in both the fiction and nonfiction, as well as fables, all different types, and poetry. All different types of stories have a message or a meaning that they want you to learn about. In nonfiction, it's typically we learn about people's lives, maybe mistakes they made, and successes that they had. In fiction works, the theme can be one of many different ideas. A theme is not a single word. It's not a sentence. You can't turn to page 23 and see what the theme of White Fang is. You don't always have to agree with a theme. I just want you to see if you can identify it. So examples of theme can be money can't buy happiness, or don't judge a book by its cover. These are bigger ideas within a story, and that's where theme comes from. Finding a theme, what to think about. This is really almost a three-part approach. What's the topic or the big idea of the work? That's a good way to remember theme when you're thinking about it, is what's the big idea here? What is the author trying to tell me? What's the message of the story? What characters say or do that relates to the topic? Bullet point number 2, what they say or what they do. We looked at that already in types of conflict, whether internal or external. That helps to paint the picture of what the big idea of the story is. And our third box, what do these things tell you that is important to learn about life? And you can kind of preface or start that sentence by saying it is important to, and then finish it with what the theme of the story is. Remember, authors are always trying to teach us something. And that final box kind of highlights that point. What's the big idea of a work? Themes are usually about big world ideas. So these big world or big brain ideas, as we used to call them, can be freedom, trust, friendship, courage, family, nature, good versus evil. Again, these are things that are big ideas, and it's not necessarily something minute or small. These are ideas that people struggle with every day. and people also have success with. So in literary works, these are what authors try and touch on as themes. Now, what's the big idea for these well-known story titles? Now, as we look at these story titles, you may be familiar with some, you may be familiar with all. So as I read through the different titles, can you figure out what the theme is? And if so, great, because I'm going to show you what they are on the next slide. But it's a little bit of a guessing game, or it's a little bit of a game where you try and identify the theme for these different stories. So going down the first column, Beauty and the Beast, Where the Fern Grows, Cinderella, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, Monsters, Inc., great movie, The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Second column, Harry Potter series, Peter Pan, Finding Nemo, which I watched last night, Three Little Pigs, and Little Red Riding Hood. Can you look at three of these stories right now and identify what the theme of these stories is, what the big idea is, what the big brain idea is? I'll give you a few more seconds. Which three are you going to select? What's the big idea? Think back to that slide that I just touched on. 3, 2, 1, and lift off. Were you correct? Beauty and the Beast is about beauty, internal and external beauty. Where the Fern Grows is about friendship. Cinderella, good versus evil, the evil stepsisters. Goldilocks and the Three Bears, respecting others' property. Monsters, Inc., about helping others. I think you can throw friendship in there. The Boy Who Cried Wolf is about honesty. Harry Potter series, again, good versus evil. Peter Pan, growing up and sometimes not wanting to grow up. Finding Nemo, growing up, honoring your parents, loved ones. Three Little Pigs, planning ahead. And Little Red Riding Hood, strangers. One thing that you should notice here is there's overlapping themes. It's okay for two stories to have the same theme, but they're just going to present it in different ways. So keep that in mind. Stories, and a lot of the stories that you are familiar with, probably have the same theme. But just remember, these are big ideas. They're not little things that people, would deal with. Like, I fell down. That wouldn't be a theme of a story. That could be part of a bigger theme of overcoming obstacles. But again, these are big ideas. What phrases give you clues to the big idea? So here's the title from a story called Follow the Trail. As I read it, notice the words that are circled in red. These are our clues, our text clues. Far into the distance, and to the very edge of the horizon, was a path cut out by wagon wheels. If you followed that path, you would find a land of gold and opportunity. This path was hard to travel, and many obstacles along the way. My travels have finally led me to my destination. Here I can start a new life with my family. There will be no more dust, no more danger, no more aching muscles. I can finally rest my head. So, what's the big idea of the story? Well, if you start to put these words that are circled in red, far into the distance, edge of the horizon, path, follow the path, and so on and so forth, the big idea here is about a journey. It's about reaching a destination. So as we read, we start to pick up on these key words. And in White Fang, have you noticed what a lot of the commonality or words that are very similar from chapter to chapter, or ideas that are similar from chapter to chapter? Can you start to put together what the theme of White Fang is? What do characters say or do that relates to the big idea of journey? We pass the halfway mark. Soon we will arrive at our new home, Father patiently explained. Will we have anyone to play with? Amy asked hopefully. ? Yes, now climb back into the wagon and get ready to leave. We have many more miles to travel today. Father took the horse's reins into his hands and clicked his tongue to make the horses begin walking. The wagon moved slowly across the bumpy dirt path. Again, if we look at the circled words, they add to this idea of a journey. Decide what the theme is. Remember, the theme is not the topic of the work, but rather a point made about the topic. It's a statement about life. A good theme statement shows what lessons about a good theme statement shows what lesson about life is important to learn, what the author wants you to have as the takeaway. And remember, these are big ideas. What do the clues we found tell us that is important about life? The clues talk about taking a journey, that the journey is difficult, and that the traveler will arrive at a destination with opportunities. The author's message may be that even if the journey is difficult to take, there are rewards when you reach your destination, when you reach your goals. You could even argue that this story is about setting goals and working towards those goals. Again, big ideas. Identifying themes. Remember, themes are not explicit, meaning they're not clearly stated. Themes are implied. Something suggested but not actually said. Again, I started this off by saying an author will never come and tell you, here's the theme of the story, because it's just too boring. Themes and stories are like movies. Movies all have themes as well. The author always wants you to think. The director of the film wants you to think, to figure things out. Themes are bigger than the story. Big world of a theme applies to the real world. Small world of the story. Extract the big ideas. Don't get hung up on characters and events. Remember, we're looking for big ideas, not small little things that happen to a character. However, now this can be tricky. Small little things can add up, but individually, these small little things or characters don't make the theme. Think beyond the small world elements to extract the big world lesson. Another example. Tim despised his old baseball glove. He wanted to play with his new glove, but he didn't have any money, so he decided to steal it. But when Tim got caught stealing the glove, his parents said he couldn't play all summer. What's the big world idea here? What's the theme? The big idea is integrity or honesty, doing what's right in life. The lesson of the story, if you want something, you got to work for it, even if it's difficult, even if it takes a little while. Today in our world, we want things right away, man. Boom. Oh, I just saw that thing on Amazon. I got to have it. Order it right away. I want it here now. The theme here is sometimes the best things in life you have to work for. Match the topic with the message. Be careful how you treat other people because they may treat you the same. That would be revenge. Face your fears and you can defeat them. It's courage. Do not wish for what others have. Be happy with what you have. That has to deal with jealousy. And work for what you want in life and you can achieve anything. Dreams. And our final slide, just a quick review. What's the big topic or big idea of the work? Themes are usually found about big ideas like freedom, trust, friendship, family, good versus evil, and so on. What do characters say that relates to the topic? What actions do the main characters take that relate to the theme? I'm in the second box. What are some important things that they say that relate to theme? And how do characters change during the story? And finally, what do these things tell you that is important to learn about life? The theme is not about the topic, but a point made about the topic. It usually has to do with a statement about life. A good theme statement shows a lesson that can be learned. And I'm going to end with that. A good theme topic discusses a lesson that can be learned. What lesson did you learn from the story? What's your takeaway? Okay. All right, everybody. That's it for today's mini lesson. Probably next week, I'll look to roll out a little activity that kind of goes with theme, maybe based on some of the examples that I did today. Not the specific examples, but kind of giving you the same sort of deal. Can you pick out the theme based on a short little reading? All right. Have a great day. And I will talk to you later on. See you, everyone.